Hello, Camas High School community. My name is Owen Sanford, Associate Principal at Camas High, and we want to welcome you to our quarterly town hall meeting. We have a lot of things to cover today, hopefully informative for you. And if you have some things that you're hoping we could talk about it later, I've got my email address at the end. So if you think of something, keep that in mind. All right, we'll get started. We'll start us off with Mr. Baranowski. You're going to talk some winter events.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things, activities happening around our campus right now. A lot of things coming up as well that we want you to be aware of. Um, we have a our big Glow dance that happens on February 8th coming up. It's a really fun dance. It's in our North Commons here at Camas High School on a Saturday. And we actually have a lot of other activities, and the kids have some really cool stuff planned. I've heard a rumor about putt-putt even around the track in the gym. So it should be a really fun night. So if you've got a student who's interested, get them to come out for Glow. Beyond that, we've got a band concert coming up on February 11th. We've choirs heading to Los Angeles for their every other year big trip on March 4th. Science Olympiad just went down to California, starting their postseason travel opportunities coming up here. DECA just had a big competition and will continue on. And then on the athletics side, we've got a lot of postseason matches that are coming up as well, whether that's bowling. We've got swim, who's doing really well. Gymnastics is undefeated so far. And our basketball and wrestling programs are rolling as well. And we've got dance back this year competing at a really high level. So a lot of great stuff happening. I will also give a shout out for graduation coming up for all you senior families out there. Just a reminder that we will be giving out your 8 tickets. So there's 8 tickets every student gets for graduation. We'll give those out at graduation practice the day of, but you can count on getting 8 of those tickets. So that way, I know a lot of people are making those plans of family members and grandparents coming out for graduation. And so those 8 tickets will be coming the day of graduation at graduation practice in the morning. And so, yeah, a lot of fun stuff happening around our campus right now. Great to see so many kids involved. I can say for looking at the sports season, we had over 857, I think, kids signed up for spring sports already. And so that's pretty tremendous to see. And so we're excited about all the stuff coming up here. I'll give it back to Mr. Sanford for a safety update.
Thanks, Mr. Baranowski. Yeah, graduation coming up less than 5 months, so that goes by quickly. All right, some safety points to talk about. We've had a couple hold actions lately, and again, holds are for when we have a medical situation, typically in a hallway, and we need students to stay in class to make sure first responders can get to and from the class easily. We can get a student or staff member out of the building to work with first responders in that case. We always try and avoid that, but if we need to, we put the building into hold, and it's a pretty low key action or emergency type situation as far as the implementation of that. And we have a lockdown drill next Thursday, so students should be going over that in their advisory classes next Tuesday. And students, of course, in the lockdown drill are out of sight, out of sound, so staying silent and out of sight. And we have now basically drop down curtains in every class, so classrooms are no longer visible. Several years ago, it was not always as reassured where teachers and classes couldn't be seen from the hallways. So in a lockdown situation, they drop that curtain, lock the door from inside easily, and then they are out of sight, out of sound. So that's next Thursday, and then we're working with Camas PD more later this year, and trying to get them more and more involved in what things could look like in the unlikely event of a lockdown. We want them to be as familiar as possible with our building. And so that'll be a nice partnership, continued partnership with Camas PD. Our SROs have been a big help in improving that, strengthening that partnership. Attendance related, just a reminder, students always need to sign in, sign out if they show up after start of school. They always got to check in with the attendance office. And if they need to leave for any reason, besides running Star or Cascadia or some scheduled part of their day, they need to sign out and they need a slip to do that. We really like families to use Skyward to excuse students, but primarily like the day before or a couple days before that absence. We've got one attendance clerk, and she works really hard. She's very busy. So if it's a day or two prior to the absence, that's really helpful. And then if parents are seeing that a student has been marked absent in a class and their student is saying, I was there the whole time, I promise. My advice to kids and families oftentimes is have the kid email the teacher and CC the parent. Say, hey, I'm just checking. I know I was there yesterday. Can you help verify that? And we get our attendance records accurate. We want them to be accurate, of course. So just having the student take the initiative, reaching out, including parent, we want you to be reassured when a student is in class and says they were in class. All right, that's it for some attendance reminders. Student support time with Mrs. Martinson.
Yeah, so just a reminder, student support time, we have between second and third period, and students can choose their own schedule. It's generally Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, most weeks, except for early release. And kids should be forecasting into those spots on All Timely. We've done a lot reinforcing that the last few weeks, making sure that they're taking the initiative to sign up and then that they're going to the classes that they should be going to. With the semester ending and a new semester starting, now would be a great time to check in with kids, see how the first semester went, what went well, and what kind of goal setting can be done for the second semester, and then using that maybe as a roadmap to start choosing what classes they're going to go to get some extra support during that time. Hand back to Mr. Sanford.
Thank you. Our Mrs. Jones with some testing updates. I'll move over to the slides that she is wanting.
Thank you, Mr. Sanford. Miss Jones, she, her, one of our associate principals. Yeah, if you'll get some Parent Square information, emails, we'll definitely start notifying students. But just to kind of get on your radar, the rapidly approaching springtime, which includes all sorts of testing things. First of those being our Smarter Balanced assessments. So if you have an 11th or 12th grader who is needing an opportunity to retest in any area, we'll be notifying those students probably here by mid-February. And then all 10th graders will be testing this spring in both ELA and math. They'll test their ELA portion in their English classes. So we'll run a block schedule the week ahead of spring break. And within their English classes, they will do their ELA, SBA testing, and then math will happen very shortly after we come back from spring break. So again, 11th and 12th graders that applies to, they'll get notification, and then all 10th graders and their families will get some notification with those upcoming SBA dates. And then for all 11th graders in May, the science portion of the SBA test will happen. So again, those notifications will go out probably later in April with that information. And then AP testing. Next slide, Mr. Sanford. So if you have students planning to do AP testing, you've probably already gotten an onslaught of emails from me. So the AP testing weeks are May 4th through 15th. If you have a child who is taking either the AP Bio or the AP Microeconomics test on May 4th, please, please, please check your Parent Square messages. There's some particular information that you will need if that applies to you and your child. So please look for that. It is not too late to register and pay for any AP exams. We do have a hard deadline of Friday, March 6th. So up until then, we can take payments for any AP exams that you've yet to pay and register for. They will include a $40 late fee on top of the $99 fee for each exam. So feel free to reach out to Darcy Jones at camas.wednet.edu with additional questions regarding SBA or AP testing, but mostly just getting that information out on people's radars. And back to Mr. Sanford.
Thank you. All right. Mrs. O'Rourke wanted to talk a little bit about our POP-TOA.
Great, thank you. Thanks for all the information, Ms. Jones, on the testing. So POP-TOA is a little fancy word, basically refers to a problem of practice or theory of action. And every year we have a certain problem of practice And sometimes it's building specific, and sometimes it's broader and it is more district specific as far as a problem of practice. And then each building kind of owns their own specific problem of practice that themes with the district's overall problem of practice. And so this year, the district's focus on the portrait of a graduate, we have keyed in as a district looking specifically at those transition years. And so for us as a high school, we're looking at how can we assist our freshmen in being a little more successful as they transition into high school. We know that that bump from elementary to middle school and then middle school to high school so often is, we just know it's a transition period for students. Policies, procedures, routines, all of those things come into play that our students have to face on top of just the regular academics of their world. So this year at Camas High School, our problem of practice is how can we increase the ninth grade sufficiency rate? And what that means is we look at the percent of our students at the end of their ninth grade year have all the credits they need. That means they are on track to graduate by the end of their senior year. So right now we're looking at 85%. So that means 85% of our freshmen last year were credit sufficient. So they're right exactly where they needed. They passed all of their classes first and second semester. And so that may sound great, right? Like you've got 85% of these kids already sufficient, and that 15% that's not, they still have an additional 3 years to catch up. That's true. And many of these kids do. They kind of learn their lessons a little bit and they kind of get in the groove and they do catch up and they're fine. The problem arises is that we don't want it to compound, right? So they maybe are lacking a semester credit in their freshman year and maybe it happens in their sophomore year. And obviously, you know that compounds, right? And then we start stressing to get these kids ready to graduate. So what does that mean? So the theory of action piece, and you can see it on the slide, is that we're going to try to provide these structures. And the structures include things like communities of practice. We have several teams of teachers who part of their professional development is a community of practice in which they research strategies, instructional interventions. They come up with researched best practices of things that they can do in their classrooms to help our freshmen be a little more successful. So we've got the ninth grade COP. We have ninth grade advisory supports. So we've always had ninth grade advisory supports kind of sprinkled in throughout the years. But this year they are more intentional. So what does that mean? We have on our Mondays, we have advisory day. And the advisories are grade level specific. So instead of having ninth graders kind of popping all over the place within different classrooms, they are specific to certain classrooms. And so because those advisories are grade level specific, now we can engage kids more specifically and targeted with strategies or certain class meetings and whatnot. So we've incorporated a little more intentional ninth grade advisory. We have the SST time that Ms. Martinson talked about. We're finding a great deal of success with that. Students are now in a position to where they are compelled to go get intervention with teachers and get help. I know our counselors are also working with students during SST time. And sometimes it's not always academic, right? It's social time. So there's particular teachers on campus who invite kids in for more social opportunities. So we're finding a lot of success with SST. So those are the particular structures that we have put in place this year. Teachers are looking at in-class embedded interventions. We also, as a district, just started. In fact, I think the first meeting's next week, put together vertical teaming groups, a combination of middle school and high school teachers that are coming together to look at how can we develop some best practices to help our students transition better from middle school to high school. So this is teams of your high-flying teachers who are coming together to look at strategies and have those discussions of what can we do as a district and as a high school or as a middle school to support students a little bit better. So anyway, that's our problem of practice, our theory of action. Pop-toe is a little bit more fun to say, but that's where we're at this year. If you have any questions, you know my email address, you know how to contact me. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. Back to you, Owen.
Mr. Sanford, you've got the mute button still on there for you. There you
Oh,
go.
perfect. Thanks for the heads up. So Mrs. Leaby's our guest appearance today. She's talking some forecasting details. I'll hand it over to her. She's going to share her screen and we'll hear from her.
You. Right. Thanks everyone for joining me. So yes, we begin forecasting season very soon. For staff members, it actually is almost a year-round process that begins right after school starts and ends when we leave at the end of June. So today we're going to be talking about graduation requirements, our Camas High School forecasting timeline, what the 4-year plan is, and then just some general communication details about forecasting. So if you are new to high school or new to our building or district, forecasting is that time of the school year when students get to look at some of their personal and career goals, identify courses that they're interested in, and then start making plans for the following school year that will help them achieve some of their goals after high school. In the state of Washington, students are required to graduate with 24 credits, and they are in specific content areas. And there is a slide that breaks that down for us in an upcoming slide. In the 7th grade here in the Camas School District, our students take Washington State history, and that counts actually as one of the high school requirements in our state. Students also have to meet a graduation pathway, and the nice thing is that we have quite a bit of latitude on how to do that. Students can satisfy that requirement by passing the Smarter Balance benchmarks in language arts as well as math. We also have some alternate pathways such as dual credit classes, use subbing in AP, SAT, ACT scores as well. Come senior year, our seniors complete a senior project, and that is all managed in their senior English class. So how are we going to get to those 24 credits? Actually, it's very straightforward. Each semester, students earn a half a credit for every class. So that is 3 credits per semester. And since we have 2 semesters in a school year, we've already knocked out 6 credits within 1 school year. So you carry that out to 4 school years, and we've hit our magic number of 24 credits. Oftentimes, students go beyond the 24 credits, which is fantastic. But our minimum number and target is 24. As I mentioned a few moments ago, the 24 credits have to come from specific content areas such as language arts and science, math, social studies, health and PE, the arts, and then career and technical education, which in our and I guess in the field of education, we refer to it as CTE. And then we round things out with general electives. Students will also hear this from me when we get closer to forecasting, when they watch the forecasting video and advisory, that we do have personalized pathway options, also known as a PPR. So if a student plans after high school do not include a four-year college, they can sub in any coursework that will benefit them in a future career or in the plans that they have for themselves. They also have that latitude in subbing out that second credit of art. The first full credit is non-negotiable. That second credit we can pivot on. And again, it just needs to be a course that will help them in their post-high school plans. Perhaps it's in whether it's joining in the military, whether it's joining or entering a 4-year or 2-year college or university. We have flexibility with that. So our timeline starts very soon. Today is the last day of semester 1 finals. And so by mid-February, we should have every student's transcript updated. And then from that point on through the beginning of March, counselors start digging in. We start evaluating transcripts. We update credit evaluations for our freshmen through juniors. So they have an idea of the courses they've already completed, what is in line for semester 2, and then what would be next for next school year. On March the 10th, we're rolling out forecasting with our students. They'll be watching a forecasting video in their advisory class. And then either March 10th or 11th, counselors will start emailing out the credit evaluations and forecasting links to all students and families. Then our Skyward forecasting buckets open for course entry March the 12th to the 19th. So the email that you can expect from your student school counselor will include that credit evaluation up through semester 1, a copy, an unofficial copy of their transcript that includes grades through semester 1, recommendations of courses to register for next year, and then any links that you're going to need to complete the forecasting process. And by links, I mean you'll get a PDF to the course guide where you'll see the courses that we're offering next school year. You'll see the link for AP contracts if a student wants to take an AP course, a link to a teacher approval form. There are some courses that the teacher requires students come and get that form signed from them before they can enter into the course. So here we have a sample credit evaluation. So anything that is going to be highlighted in green are the semester 2 courses that the student will be in. And then anything highlighted in yellow are the courses that the counselor recommends the student requests for the following school year. And then in the lower right corner, you'll see any special notes from the counselor to the student. And sometimes the special notes area will include instructions on, I need you to take this in summer school, you need to catch up on Washington State history, or here's our plan for getting you caught up on credits that you're missing. This is the reference sheet that I was referring to a few moments ago. This will have all of the links to the documents that students will need to successfully complete their forecasting requests. There also will be videos that they can watch about the Cascadia Tech Academy programs and the Running Start program. Our course guide will have all of the courses that we are proposing for next school year. In it, there will be the description of the course, of what students can expect that the experience will be. On the far right-hand side, it's going to be important that students pay close attention to the prerequisites, because there are some courses that are open only to specific grade levels, or a student will need to complete a particular entry level or foundational course before they can move on to the advanced level. In advisory, they're going to be watching the video. We have done this annually. This video will also be on that reference sheet that you, as the parent and guardian, will receive. So you can watch it together, or if your student was absent on the day they watched it in advisory, they can watch this from home and understand how the entire process will work. Every year, students are required to complete a 4-year plan. We're required to have one on file for every student. Historically, we have done the paper or electronic versions. We are going to try to roll this out into a new platform called SchoolLinks. Because that particular platform is new to our state, all of the functions and the features are still in that rolling out process. So in the event that we are not able to complete this through SchoolLinks by the middle of March, this document will be available electronically to students on that reference sheet. So they only need to complete it one time, whether it's through SchoolLinks or through the Google Doc. The one thing I wanted to bring to your attention on the back side is the area that says, that's highlighted in yellow, highlighted in orange, the personalized pathway requirement that I mentioned, where students can reallocate credits from that world language or the second credit of art. This area must be completed in order for the school counselor to be able to apply that in our graduation requirement database. The student completes that area and then sends a copy of the form or their SchoolLinks form to the counselor so that we can apply it accurately. Every year we update the AP acknowledgement document, so there will be a new one for this coming school year. We want students to make sure that they fully understand that AP coursework is a larger time commitment. The work level oftentimes is increased in comparison to a non-accelerated or AP course. We certainly encourage students to stretch themselves and try and challenge themselves with accelerated and AP courses. But once students have entered into it, they can expect to remain in it for the entire school year. I mentioned several slides ago that there is a teacher approval form, and this is one of the sheets of that. The students would print one copy out, take it to the teacher for their signature, and then return the completed form to their school counselor. Both of the school counseling offices do have secretaries who sit at the very front of the office suites. And so if the school counselor is not available, they can drop the form off with that assistant as well. We will be entering course requests through Skyward, and if you were with us last school year, you will remember perhaps that Skyward has been refreshed and updated, and so there was a new process to the forecasting course entry. Those steps, again, will be included in the student video that they will see, and you also, as a parent or guardian, will have access to it. Because we've only done it one time, we certainly don't expect that it's muscle memory quite yet. So we roll out forecasting reviews in waves. The week of March 17th through 19th, students come to the Library Media Center with their assigned teacher. So for our freshmen, they will be coming with their language arts teacher. Every class will be assigned a time slot, and they will go through kind of like an assembly line where they will be greeted by someone who will want to see that their entries have been put into Skyward. Someone else will take their teacher approval form if they haven't turned it in. Someone else will check their math placement, all of that. It really is, if they have done everything beforehand, it literally is like maybe a 60-second process to go through the line. And then students who were absent on the day that their class came to the Library Media Center, we will be calling them down on Friday the 20th. Should students want to make a request to change something that they've entered into Skyward, they can reach out to their school counselor no later than May the 1st to make that change. So creating a master building schedule is very much a complicated process, similar to Tetris. You know, after student entries are inputted, then the systems are locked, and we start running reports and then looking to see how many students requested the classes. And then our administrators do a phenomenal job of comparing that with the credentials that our teachers have, and that determines the number of sections and classes that we're able to offer. So certainly is not an easy process. It takes many, many weeks to create a master building schedule. Everyone does their very best to create the best possible schedule to accommodate most students' requests. But sometimes it just isn't possible to give everyone everything that they have requested. We certainly do our best, but listing alternates, and we ask students to enter at least 4 alternates so that we have an idea of what we could replace. Like if they forecast for an art class, then I can say, okay, well, they would be interested in the following art classes as well. So you can expect an email coming from your school counselor March the 10th or 11th. Certainly, if you don't receive it by that Thursday the 12th, the day that Skyward opens up, please reach out to the school counselor and just let them know that you're still waiting for that credit evaluation and the transcript and recommendations. All right, Mr. Sanford, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I know counselors work very hard to ensure schedules are accurate and very thoughtful process. So thanks for your work, Mrs. Leby, and for all the counselors. Okay, that does it for our quarterly town hall meeting. We'll be back in a couple months for our next town hall. And if you have suggested topics, feel free to email me. Appreciate you being here, and have a great rest of your day.